Oh, hey everybody, welcome back to Dragonborn Industries. I'm Ian the Dragonborn Bard, and we're here for episode 74 of Painting Up the Monster Manual. Now, as you can see, I'm all on my own today. Unfortunately, Richard can't be with us, but we're going to carry on anyway, as we have this awesome mini from Richard and Warrior Prince 3D, which is for the Berserker. Now, Craig and Richard painted this one up last week, and I did the bigger one, and this week I'm going to do this one as my regular Berserker and go from there. Now, the Berserker, for those of you who didn't see last week's show or haven't seen them before, is from the D&D 2024 Monster Manual, and they are on page 37. As we work our way through this, I am going to need to sort out some music, actually, as I realise I don't have this on StreamYard this week. Oh, well, looks like I'm doing it silently, but there we go. Oh, well, so looking at this mini, I'm going to try and do the same thing that I did last week, which is where I dry brushed the living hell out of this through the grayscales and then added in some colours with some speed paints afterwards and some highlighting. I think that's how I'm going to approach it. Otherwise, I know there's a lot more detail to this one than there was with the last one. So we'll see how we get on with the hour time limit, which I need to get ready to go. Otherwise, obviously, please go check out Warrior Prince 3D, your one-stop shop for all your 3D printing needs. Obviously, Richard has been out of action for a little while now, so do go check out his sympathy sale and also his Ko-Fi. Buy him a coffee until he's fully healed and back up and running. Otherwise, let's just get straight down to brass taxes today and begin painting this miniature. So I'm going to start the timer straight away, and I'm going to go in with some greys. I'm going to dry brush the living crap out of this whole thing. At the same time, I'm going to look at the Berserker stat block. So, unlike the Commander, which was a CR8, this is a CR2 creature. It is, I think it's like a low-level barbarian. Hey, Dibs, how you doing? Just me today. How are you doing? So I think, whereas the Commander we saw last week had quite a few things, the Berserker is going to be a less one, but it works as a great minion for the actual Berserker Commander that we saw last week because of that ability for them to be able to get them to move outside of their turn as a bonus action. It makes them, as a group, very, very deadly. But this one has an AC of 13, so that's quite low, so it's an unarmoured defense, no armour on them whatsoever. Hit points of 67 as written, rules as written, or 98 plus 27 for your potential full hit points there if you are rolling them for your monsters, which could be quite a lot. So I've definitely seen that barbarian traits with it to really make them tanky. Oh, it does say they've got hide armor on, actually. Initiative is +1, and then when we look at the ability to deal damage, we are looking at, well, bloody, the Berserker has advantage on attack rolls and saving throws, which is absolutely killer for crit fishing, but it's just got one attack, and it is a grey tax, which is +9 to hit. And sorry, not +9 to hit, +5 to hit, and then it does 9 or 1d12 +3 slashing damage. So they are dealing a heavy amount of damage out there. Not bad, thanks, buddy. How are you? I'm pretty good, thank you. I am struggling with the pollen today. I have really been coughing my guts up, and it's been quite something. It's felt quite like irony as well, quite bloody, which is, there you go, the more you know, I guess. You been up to much, Dibs? Otherwise, I am just going to get that Mechanicus Grey, or actually, no, this is Deep Grey from the Army Painter, all over this bad boy. That's really it for the stat block, strength being their main one, charisma being their dump stat, speed of 30 foot, but obviously what we're seeing is when you use Frenzied Rush from Berserker Commander, that's when we're going to see these guys moving up to targets, taking an attack later on, maybe getting an attack of opportunity in place if you know, characters or player characters try and move out of the way after that. So this, I think this is really good for just slowing down that action economy. SSDD. Go on, you're going to have to explain that one. I probably know it, but my brain is just frazzled from pollen today. For those of you in the US, we're heading towards a heat wave, which means all the bees are out, and although that's great, it means that the plants are just pollinating all over me. Same shit, different day. Yeah, I didn't know that. Are you painting up much today, Dibs? I'm hoping, like last week I was able to get the other one done in the hour, and I'm hoping that this week I should be able to do the same, but there are a few more details to this one that definitely are not on the previous one. There's a lot more heraldry and a lot more little bits here and there. So I'm going to take a lighter grey, and again, I'm just using a makeup brush. I'm coming down from the top to pick out those highlights, and I'm just trying to create a slight tonal difference before I go in with an off-white and finish that off. And then after that, it will be a case of going through my speed paints and my contrast paints and just trying to get the tones on this just right. Again, I'm going to try and leave the skin grey like I did last week. I want that Goliath kind of effect. And then we'll work out the rest of it. Yeah, still trying to get all these old metals done for a mate. Man, you've got so many of those. Do you get to like batch them and then still paint for you in the meantime? Right, so I'm going to grab Praxetti White, I believe it was. And we're going to dry brush that over the top. So we move on. And again, I don't need to be amazingly accurate. I just want this to be tabletop ready. And with that comes that feeling of what is tabletop. But I think as long as there's paint on most of the model, I'm good to go. So I'm going to try and catch the head, that eye patch. I definitely want to try and grab some of the skin tones, just because I really want them to have those three colours, almost like a triad of colours. But I don't need to go all over everything with the white. Very happy to leave that to things like these bones on the base plate, tops of the shield, tops of the head, maybe some of those spikes in the skin. There we go. So, greys are all done. Now I can go in and use those speed paints and try and get everything all detailed up. So, just gonna get these ones all cleaned up. And then I guess what we're gonna do is grab the same ones as last week, really. Go from there. There's my fur brown. Gonna need that one as well. Let's work our way through it all. So I'm going to start with probably the Agros Dunes and grab anything that's leather or wood, and then I will use Skeleton Horde on things like the bones, all those skulls. And then I will come in again with things like the fur brown and repaint any kind of detailing. I'm going to use the frost paint again on the base, so everywhere that is around this I'm going to use it because it crystallizes up really well if you saw the pictures. Apparently so. Dibs this week. Apparently so. That's all right. So mine's a nice quiet one. Again, just trying to pick out all of those areas on the leathers, boots. Got my airbrush handy ready to dry, but it is really warm in here today, so I'm not sure if I'm going to need it. I might leave there's like a pelt on the back here. I might leave that in the grayscale as well to make it a kind of like a wolf pelt. Quiet doesn't really exist with us two. No, I'm inclined to agree with you on that one, but that's all right. I think well, I don't know what I think actually. Okay, so question is this a leather shield or is this a metal shield, do we think? Yeah, so it's warm up here that all my paints are drying on the brush. Damn. Do you think that's a metal shield, Dibs, or do you think that's a leather shield that's been like plated and then had the thing in the middle made out of metal? Let's get those shoulder pauldrons, the leather straps. Trying to get all of the braces as well. And we'll move on to the next bit once we've grabbed all of those. But I don't think this is going to take too long. I certainly think I should be done within the hour, doing exactly what I did last week and just keeping it minimalistic, letting the paints do their works and then pulling out the highlights. You think you did yours two-tone metal? Yeah, I think I'll probably do the same. Or just at least metal in some capacity. Hoping that I can. So I'm using a very thick brush right now, just to grab the base layer on everything. But I might. I'm going to cover the bit in the middle in the same brown, and then I'm going to dry brush that with a metallic, and maybe I'll get like a different effect. Who knows? So already, that's where we're at. Shouldn't take us too long to really get through this mini. I match it to the axe head. Yeah, I'm tempted to do that. Very tempted. But like the axe head looks like stone. That's the thing. It looks like stone to me. Not really too sure. Now I'm going to grab Skeleton Horde. I'm going to go over those skulls at the bottom, which is very similar to the brown I've just used. However, I will be going over those bits again with a dry brush of Ancient Bone once we have them all dry. Okay. So does the shield? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I might put like a metal banding around it and then make them like plates of stone. But I don't think that's a wise thing to make your shield out of, but there you go. Right. That's loud. So I'm going to do this off the table, just so it doesn't kind of blow into the microphones. So what are you guys doing up there to beat the heat? Obviously, if that's crazy down the mics, just let me know. But we're 12 minutes in and we're doing all right. I think we're going to do quite well to get this one done within the hour. It might be because of the dry brushing. Yeah, probably. I was tempted to use the water and airbrush these two minis, but I realised that I wanted to try this out my old-fashioned way of mostly dry brushing and then bringing it up a little bit. I've opened the big garage door, but it's not made a difference, no. Like rooms like this room and your garage and stuff like that, without moving airflow, it's just stifling. And like we've got Bloodpunk later today, And I'm like, gonna have to dig a fan out and get that going because it's going to be warm. Right, how are we doing? So we're nearly there on the drying. Still got some of the deeper recesses to go in those side bits and on the skulls. So I'm going to go a bit further, just get those dried off a wee bit more, because I want to crack on and get the highlighting done and get those extra straps and everything. And that's what I think took me so long last week, was just trying to break those bits apart. I also want to add the frost stuff early, I think, this time. I want to see, because I want to see if it'll crystallize before we finish the outer. Because the last time I added it towards the end, and I didn't take a picture until about 3 hours later when it had crystallized. And it works. I really like the frost paint, the liquid frost, but it does take a while, and I didn't quite time it. Go. Okay, that's going to take a little bit longer to dry, but we've got the majority of it done, which means that I can pick out the straps on the axe. They're dry, and possibly the boots in a moment. Kind of just waiting for those skulls to dry more than anything, though. That's kind of the big one I need. Oh, I've missed a bit on the straps, actually. Oof. So, there's a little bit on the underside that I've missed here. Again, that should be fine. There we go. Problem averted. Right. If I keep coughing throughout this, I do apologise as well. My lungs are screwed today. Right. Let's grab that one there. Quick gander at... So, I need to grab that eye patch as well, actually. That's quite important. It's very small. I'm going to use Agros Dunes again, but we're going to use a very fine brush. I'll follow the strap, come around the back of the head, over the eye, and then across. Okay. I have to grab some white and get in on the eye now. So let's find our matte white. Are you sticking with the grey skin? Yes, I'm going to stick to the same thing I did last week with the Goliath look, because I really like these guys as Goliaths. That, and I don't have many Goliath minis. And I think these work out just fine for that one. So we have that one there. I'm going to grab a little dab of dark grey, take some of that off, and I'm going to come in from the underside and try and get that pupil to be at the top of the eye. There we go. One eye in place. We're going to use black on the hair again, so I'm going to grab that now. I was tempted to make this guy an orc, but again, I was like, no, you know what? I haven't got any Goliath minis really, so that's what we're doing. I'm going to give him nice black fur, well, black fur, black beard and hair. Seems to just have a chin strap, so I don't need to worry too much. About the face. There is a rather large metal band holding the hair up, but I will grab that with a metallic. I think. Something like gold or something quite prestigious. I think I see now why the guys did this one as the commander, with those like big skull piles at the base and some of the adornments they've got on. But I just like the idea of the commander being that big one that we used last week. Just this like absolute brute in a fight. Right. There is the eyebrows. Paint those black as well. There we go. Right. That's that bit done for now. So we've got the difference on the hair. Still going on the drying there. So we're going to grab some of the fur brown and we're going to go paint in all of those the straps. And then I'll probably use a bit of Agrax Earth shade for some of the shading on those. Re-pick out some of the details, as it's about the only wash I can use effectively. I've got a nice fine brush just to put some lines on, and I don't need it to be solid fill because when we add some more colour to this later or some shading, it's hopefully going to make it look tarnished and patchy. And that's kind of what I'm after realistically. Bring it down to where the camera can see it. Okay. I'm going to grab the ones on the boots. I think it's just a case, the main detail on this mini is just going around and picking out the straps that you want to stand out or the bits of bone. I think it's the same for both of these Berserkers. And I think these are Daybreak miniatures. I think that's what we worked out last week. A little wet still on this side, so I'm hoping I don't smudge anything. There we go. Okay, so we've got side ones in place, straps on the sides. Now we need to do the ones on the shoulder. And the head of the axe, actually. So there are a few around there. Let's grab some just on these. The base of these horns that are on their pauldron is also leather strapped on. So I want to make sure that we get those. I don't think this is going to be too hard on me. I think knowing what was approaching from last week, it's easy to kind of match what we did. Yes, they're part of Daybreak, and it's a beautiful set. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. They're crazy detailed. It's insane. Same with that leather thonging around the arm. Just going to grab that. Got these patches up here on the shield and down here. That's that one there. Might add a little bit to that eye patch just to give it a bit more definition. There we go. So what's next? Oh, there is actually a belt up there too, hidden right underneath his arm. I want to grab that, make sure we get a decent line between those two areas of the mini. And the straps on the underside of the bracer. I think after that, we're all picked out, but then knowing me, I've probably missed something. There it is. We've got halfway around that boot actually. There we go. Strap there, strap there. Leaving that, we're leaving that. Okay, so next up then is going to be working out the colours of those axe heads and the shield. I really like the idea of the stone. I actually think you're right. I might put the outer banding as a bronze and that centre bit there, but leave those plates as stone. I think that's what I want to do. So I'm going to grab rough iron actually. Daybreak, as do Flesh of Gods, put on so much detail into a mini, it's insane. Not many printers seem to manage all the details like Richard manages to. Yeah, I completely agree. There's a reason we use Warrior Prints 3D for pretty much all the shows that we do. Right, I need a very small dry brush at this point. So we're going to grab this one just here. I want to grab that central effigy without going too far over. And then I'm going to grab just my regular liner and go round the outside of that banding. And that should give us a nice two-tone look to the shield. Just try not to go over past that boundary onto the stone. We do want to carry this over to the other side where it meets the back so that we don't have that grey line between the two areas. That banding goes over the edge and all the way around. For an inner band too around the circle piece, it would look good if you could highlight that. Definitely came definitely from the centre, yeah. That's exactly what I'm doing right now, is going around the inside. And I think mainly for me is because you can see it from the top of the mini. It just gives you a nice little pop of those metallic flakes in the paint. Looking at it from the other side. Now we do also have these massive studs, or these bolts in the middle of it. I'm just going to grab those as well. There we go. Whoa, you can throw my paintbrush everywhere. Let's grab that. clean it off. Okay, so it's been 28 minutes already. Wow. So there we go. So that's what we're after here. Same again all the way around from the other side. Okay, so we are there on the frost. I do need to get some, not there on the frost, there on the bones. So I'm just going to grab a little tiny bit of ancient bones. Going to make sure my brush is mostly dry. And just come down from the top and just grab some of those the way that the light's facing. Doesn't need to be perfect. I just need enough that it gives me a highlight, which is what I've done there. Oh, an inner circle on the back of the shield. Oh, you mean this bit? Or do you mean on the inside? Because I'm not getting a brush into that. So, right, liquid frost. Yeah, we got that one covered first. Right. Ah, my lid. I don't want that going everywhere because I need to keep this one. Let's see. Right. Oh. Okie doke. Need a relatively big brush, which is this one here. I'm just going to put it all around the base of those feet, the skulls. I'm actually covering most of this base because I want to see how it crystallizes up across the whole thing. Right, that's that bit there. I am going to grab some Agrax Earthshade, and now we're going to go round and pick out. Oh, that was way too much. Those details on the axe. Weathering in the boots, those straps, and just giving them some grime on top of that fur brown that we used as a solid colour. Again, I don't want to go too heavy. I do want to make sure that it definitely gives us some definition. Underside of those braces. Same again. There's a few deeper bits with these areas of like charms and bones on their other shoulder, adding it into there. When you're painted the center of the back, there's a ring around it. Oh, right, yeah. I was being rough with the dry brush, so you are quite right, I didn't miss it. So let's get that in now while the rest of it dries. There we go. Right. I don't think we're too far away now. I think I'm tempted to add maybe a little bit of blue to the axe, just to make it kind of frosty. I think that could be quite cool. Or I leave it where it is. What I am going to do is I'm just going to grab some of the Templar Black. I'm going to use that between those plates, around that inner circle, and then use it on the rest of the mini. Again, to give it that separation between the areas that I like on stuff like this. Don't need to do anything there. I'm going to try and get it between. That rope on the chest. I'm going to put a little bit between the fingers. My finger rub that away. Just to give certain areas a massive amount of separation. Don't need to do too much. I love the idea of keeping it stone, like stone plates fixed onto a metal shield, perfectly deflecting arrows, and if smashed by an axe or hammer, you can swap out the stone plates rather than have to go to a new shield. Yeah, and a Goliath is definitely strong enough to carry it. Exactly that. Hey, I'm Jack, how you doing? We are painting up the Berserker. Obviously, last week I did the big raging one. This week I am doing this one here. I'm actually not too far away from being tabletop ready, I think. But I'm inclined to agree with you, Dibs. I think I'm going to leave it stone. I'm going to grab a little bit more white, probably the matte white, and I'm going to throw that onto the axe head, and then I'm going to work on that wolf pelt a little bit, just to pick off that top corner and those areas that look like flint on the edge of that axe, like it's all chipped away, just to make it a bit more of a highlight. Do a little bit on the wolf pelt, just to give it that frosty area. Look, same on the one on the chest. Retouch the hand. I think I'm already ready to rim the base, you know. Oh no, I need to do that hairband. I'm going to use some raw iron again for that hairband. Good morning, Captain Spice. I've just mown the lawn, and the official term for how I'm feeling is absolutely fucked. Yeah, that sounds like manual labour, which is not a me thing. So I'm going to use that. And how are you doing, Spice? Welcome in. We are painting up the Berserker. Obviously, we're down a Richard this week, as he is clearly not here. But that's all right. We are persevering as it is. Now, obviously, we've got the frost on that base, but that's going to take a long time for that to come up by the looks of it. We are only 36 minutes into painting it, and to be honest, I'm not far away from being done for this Goliath Berserker. I'm going to rim the base now, so that's got time to dry. But realistically, this one really doesn't take all that long. What's everybody up to at the moment then? Obviously, Dak, you've just finished mowing the lawn. Debs, I imagine you're still painting metal models. Spice, I imagine it's early enough for you that you're kind of up and getting ready for work. Anything major wrong for people today? Just poured myself some coffee. Playing D&D, seeing Witchlight campaign. Hell yeah. I'm looking for a flint-like colour. Have you got Darkenhof Nightshade? A thin coat of that over the stone will work. I think I do. No, that's Nighthaunt Gloom. Darkenhof Nightshade. Oh, that's a blue wash, isn't it? I think I do have it, but it's really, really at the end of its game now. So I'm going to take some of that. I'm going to water it down quite a bit. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you there, Dibs, actually. Ah, gravity. Yeah, Dibs, I think that was a great shout. Really thin. Just brings back that blend a little bit, actually. That's an old pot. Yes, it is. What am I up to this afternoon? So I've got to tidy up the studio because we've got Blood Punk tonight. Then I've got to take my dog for a walk, and I've got a couple of videos I need to film because we had some people send us some stuff. But when those videos release, I don't know. But I've got like an entire map from last episode of Starfinder, which is that one there. I've got to get that all put away and in the right place rather than just let it sit here. Plus, I think we're starting in a battle tonight for Blood Punk, thanks to where we ended last time. But I keep forgetting because it's a bi-weekly show rather than a weekly one. I get a bit lazy. Right, let's do those charms. I'm going to grab Ancient Bone again. Just grab a little bit of that. I'm going to use the side of a brush. And I'm just going to give them a top coat. And then I'm going to hit them. I used Waystone on them last time, just to give them like a magical look. So those ones are the ones on the shoulder. There's the pollen getting me again. But we're getting there. It's really not much actually that I have left to do. I'd certainly be happy throwing it down on the table as it currently stands. I don't need to pick out every major detail, just enough that it does its job. I love it when you paint with your fishing float. Are you on about the Games Workshop handle? Finger wipe some of that away just to give it a green tint. Oh, my brush. This one. Yeah. I don't know much about fishing, if I'm being honest, so... I mean, is it like fly fishing where they sit on the water? I don't fucking know. Okay. I can probably... There's like some extra filigree on that particular pad on the pauldron. I'm going to use some of the raw iron again just to pick that out. It's quite funny because it's in the shape of a heart, which, if I'm being perfectly honest, I wasn't expecting. Nor do I think that's what they meant when they designed it, but it's kind of cute. Just up. I don't know, Dibs. All I know is it's drastically boring. Let's highlight some of these spines. And then we are, I think, done. Yeah, especially river fishing. I get, for some people it's a real pastime. For me it's not. Then I suppose I haven't ever really tried my hand at it. I'm happy to say that that's tabletop ready, to be honest. So, the Berserker is pretty much done. I mean, I could go around and pick out more details, but realistically, for tabletop ready, that will absolutely do for a Goliath Berserker. We've got the speed paint doing most of the work on those bracers. A few details picked out from 1.5 meters away on a table. That's more than ready. So I'm going to say at 43 minutes that is done. Another monster complete. He is lovely. Thank you very much, Captain Splice. Well, I guess that's it today. I guess it's a nice short episode. Realistically, I'm pretty happy with how that's gone. I know that last week, obviously, the bigger one was a challenge, but following the same recipe to keep them together in terms of how they look, I'm definitely okay with how that one's come about, and using the dry brush technique for the skin definitely paid off. Otherwise, I'll take some pictures of this and throw it up on Instagram, and we'll be back later tonight for Bloodpunk. Otherwise, I hope you all have a fantastic day. Enjoy the heat if you're here in the UK. I imagine it's probably going to be quite warm, being summer in most places. Otherwise, thank you very much. May the dice gods be in your favour. Take it easy, guys.